At the start of the episode, we see a mysterious guy leaving prison. He casually makes his way into town, enters a bar, gets intimate with a barmaid, and steals a car. Next, the guy visits his old friend in Manhattan, who is a hairstylist named Job. Job, who is also an undercover hacker, is surprised to see his friend get out of prison. The guy starts rummaging the place, destroying computers in the office as he demands Job give the address of a woman named Carrie Hopewell. Left with no choice, Job opens his fancy laptop and searches for the woman's location. He then gives the guy the information he needs. While leaving Job's place, the guy is chased by a Ukrainian mobster with a tattoo on his neck, who shoots at him through the New York City streets. However, the guy makes a narrow escape, managing to steal a motorcycle and ride to Carrie's home in Banshee, Pennsylvania. The next scene shows the guy sitting in a local bar in Banshee. The bartender, Sugar Bates, who is also a former prizefighter, pours him a drink and they chat for a while. Through their conversation, we learn that the guy used to be an ex-con, the most wanted thief in the country, who has just served 15 years in prison. After a while, a newly arrived sheriff-to-be named Lucas Hood joins them and starts telling them about his backstory. As Sugar pours the sheriff a drink, it's revealed that Lucas is starting office on Monday and he's new to this part of the area. Just then, two men walk into the bar, attempting to rob it. The sheriff jumps into action, but our main guy tries to settle the matter without spilling any blood. However, his plan fails when the thugs suddenly open fire at the sheriff. With time running out, the guy attacks the thugs, bashing their heads against the wall and killing them. Sadly, the sheriff also succumbs to his injuries. Later, when Sugar and our guy are disposing of the bodies, Sheriff Lucas's cell phone rings. The guy hesitantly picks up the call, and it turns out to be from the mayor of the town, asking whether Lucas made it here since he's new. Our guy pretends to be the sheriff and talks with the mayor normally. The latter then sets up a meeting for the following day so that he can meet Lucas Hood in person. Since our guy has old matters to settle in the town, he assumes the identity of the dead sheriff. This means he is the new Lucas Hood. Later that night, the new Lucas visits Carrie and learns that she's the wife of the town's district attorney, Gordon. It's revealed that Lucas and Carrie share a past that predates her arrival in Banshee. They both used to be professional robbers who worked for a Ukrainian gangster boss named Rabbit. But ever since they stole from their boss, they are wanted, dead or alive. Lucas asks for his cut of the diamonds they stole from Rabbit, but Carrie, who is shocked to see him, requests that he leave her alone. Hearing this, Lucas shares his frustration, saying he was really hoping to get his share of the money after spending 15 years in prison. But before he can ask any further, Gordon arrives home, prompting him to run away. Following this, Lucas has his friend Job hack into the law enforcement databases to verify his cover. The latter, who is an expert at his work, quickly replaces the original Lucas's ID photo with the new Lucas's face in every database possible, making sure that the cover is tight. The next day, Lucas meets with the mayor and has a small chat with him. Then he's introduced to the sheriff's deputies and given a new car. After a while, when he's strolling around the place, Lucas reacts quickly when he observes the Moody Guys, a group of local criminals, beating up some Amish men. The brawl is eventually stopped when Kai Proctor, the officer in charge of overseeing the illegal activities in Banshee, arrives. Without wasting any time, he grabs the leader of the group, Cole, takes him into his slaughterhouse, and beats him up brutally. In the meantime, the Ukrainian mobsters from earlier catch Job at his salon and demand the location of Lucas. When the hacker refuses to answer, he is beaten up. But Job is smarter than them, as he knew this was coming. He had his assistant retrieve all the backup files beforehand and told him to get ready with a vehicle downstairs. He then pretends to retrieve some files from his safe, but flees away before detonating his entire salon. Meanwhile, back in Banshee, Lucas takes the sheriff's oath, officially assuming the identity of a sheriff. He is then invited to Kai Proctor's house for a celebration. At the party, Carrie and her husband are also present. When they chat in private, Lucas asks Carrie to open up the safe he recently stole. However, she bluntly refuses, saying she isn't doing dirty work anymore. After she leaves, Cole suddenly arrives and strikes Lucas from the back, rendering him unconscious. He then fires aimlessly through the gathering, determined to kill Kai for the thrashing he received earlier. But before Cole can squeeze the trigger, Lucas, who is now back to his feet, kills him with a single shot. In the meantime, Rabbit's henchmen survive the blast at Job's salon and report back to their boss. Enraged, he orders them to immediately find Lucas and Carrie. That night, Lucas has a nightmare as usual. He is haunted by his memory of Carrie. He recalls their secret love affair and the last night they spent together, when they were caught stealing $10 million worth of diamonds from Mr. Rabbit. It turns out that Lucas led the cops away so she could escape, landing himself in prison for 15 years. The next morning, Carrie comes across Lucas when she's hosting an open house as a realtor. He pulls her into the kitchen, kisses her, and tells her he loves her. However, Carrie fights him off, kisses him back, punches him in the face, and tells him that if he really loves her, he'll leave Banshee and never come back. In the meantime, Hansen, a narcotic dealer who works for Kai, prepares to throw a rave in an Amish farmhouse. Lucas returns to the sheriff's office where Kai is waiting for him. The latter reveals that the Moody Boys will come for blood, as their brother Cole was killed the other day. He then offers to take care of the problem, but Lucas shuts him down. Later that night, the mourning Moody Boys and their family hold a wake for their brother Cole at Sugar's pub. Lucas arrives at the place, but Sugar warns him to stay out of sight because the Moody Boys only want blood today. Lucas then takes a sandwich and heads out of the bar. Just then, Cole's widow, Kat, spots him eating their food and confronts him for killing her husband. At the same time, two of Cole's brothers come after Lucas with their guns. But our unintimidated hero faces them with no fear on his face. The situation starts to heat up until Sugar is able to settle down the matter. Lucas then prepares to head home, but he's approached by a young and pretty girl. Moments after, they're seen getting intimate with each other. The following day, an Amish elder finds out about the rave through his teenage son and informs the cops. However, he tells Lucas not to reveal his or his family's name for reporting about the rave. Our protagonist says okay and accompanies the man to his car. But when he reaches there, he's stunned to find that the old man's daughter is the same woman he had coitus with the night before. In the farmhouse where the rave is happening, we see Carrie's daughter, Dava, entering the party with her friend Reed. They start taking some pills, hoping to have a good time. But unbeknownst to them, the batch of narcotics have been tainted. So, in a matter of minutes, several of the teens, including Reed, start having seizures. At the same time, Lucas enters the farmhouse by punching his way inside and searching for the boss. He learns that the main supplier is Hansen, so he follows him. But the latter catches wind of the raid, and she runs away while firing random shots in the air. Lucas and his assistant chase him for a while, and even manage to kill two of his henchmen. But in the end, Hansen manages to get away. He then goes to his boss, Kai's house, and informs him of what happened. As expected, this doesn't please Kai at all, so he severs one of Hansen's fingers with a steak knife. He then gives the second man a 60-second head start to run as fast as he can, while he unleashes his Rottweiler. Unfortunately, Hansen doesn't get very far, and he's easily caught and dismembered by the dog. Back in the farmhouse, sadly, the paramedics fail to revive Reed, and he's eventually declared dead. Witnessing this, Dava breaks down in tears. Her whole life has come crashing down right in front of her eyes. Fearing that she may do something drastic, Lucas comforts her and takes her home. The next day, Carrie sneaks into Rabbit's apartment and holds him at gunpoint. She makes him a deal. In exchange for the stolen diamonds, he has to leave her family alone. Rabbit counters by saying that if Lucas is delivered, she will be set free. But Carrie isn't able to do so. Therefore, she knocks him out with a sedative before giving him a cheek kiss and saying, "Goodbye, Daddy." In Banshee, Kai works with local Native American tribal leader Benjamin Longshadow to hold a mixed martial arts fight. They wait for a fighter named Sanchez, who is supposed to perform at a big event the following day. The selected venue is revealed to be Kinaho Moon Casino, a place which the Long Shadows have owned for centuries. After a while, Sanchez arrives in his fancy car and immediately starts sparring with the local Marines. He offers to fight Lucas as well, but the sheriff declines. Later at the boy's funeral, Lucas runs into the Hopewells, and Carrie's husband, Gordon, asks him to come over for dinner. That evening, when Carrie and Lucas are alone, she tells him that he used to be kind, but that he's changed. Lucas is intimidated by the comment, so he bursts out of the Hopewell house without finishing dinner. Additionally, he feels that he has a right to be cruel after 15 years of being ignored by her. He heads straight to Sugar's pub, where he runs across Rebecca, the Amish girl he had a previous relationship with. Surprisingly, they book a room and end up having coitus once again. When Rebecca exits the tavern, she finds Kai, her uncle, waiting for her. He criticizes her for continuing to defy her upbringing in a similar way that he did. Kai reveals that he lost many people when he was like her during his teenage years. He then drops her home before lecturing her on the importance of familial love and trust. That night, Carrie meets Lucas and offers him the diamonds in exchange for him leaving her alone. However, he doesn't accept the diamonds because he doesn't want to give up on her so easily. At the casino, Sanchez invites a waitress to his trailer and starts making out with her. They eventually have coitus, but Sanchez grows more and more violent when he drinks some champagne, followed by some narcotics. In the end, he becomes so aggressive that he ends up beating her up. The following morning, we see the girl with bruises all over her body, and she's barely able to walk. Thankfully, she makes it to the hospital, and her incident is reported to the cops. Meanwhile, Sanchez and his manager are attending a pre-fight cocktail party when Lucas and his colleague arrive at the right time. They're here to arrest Sanchez on charges of assault. Lucas approaches him to take him into custody, but Sanchez challenges him to a brawl. One thing leads to another, and they end up fighting in front of everyone. Lucas endures a fair amount of punishment, but in the end, he prevails using his unorthodox but effective moves. He then breaks the fighter's fingers and arms in front of a surprised crowd, including Kai. Following the brutal fight, Lucas is injured and needs help to get home. Sugar assists him to his place, where Kai surprisingly shows up. He tries to work out a deal with the sheriff, but Lucas makes it clear that he has no interest in doing so because he's aware of the sheriff's character. He neither dislikes nor feels any kind of apprehension toward Kai. In the meantime, a Kinaho Moon employee uploads a video of Lucas and Sanchez's altercation to YouTube, ending the episode with a cliffhanger.